This is 101 ESPN from Super Bowl 46 in Indianapolis. Brought to you by Appliance Solutions, American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, and Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert.
Bill, Ian Rappaport, Boston Herald. Hello again.
A lot more lights than we have at Gillette there.
Exactly. I was wondering if you could kind of hit the Wayback Machine a little bit and think back to your time between the Browns and the Patriots. Was there one thing that you learned, or how did you kind of?
Wait a minute, the Browns and the Patriots. I mean, it was like
between head coaching jobs.
Oh, I thought you were talking about when in '96 when I went from the Browns to the Patriots. Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
go ahead.
Between head coaching jobs, was there one thing that you went back and said, all right, I need to get better at this, or how did you regroup and make sure that you were sort of ready to do what you've done?
No, I don't think there's any one thing. I think to me, I learn something every day, a lot of things. So it's a constant process. After the '95 season in Cleveland, I came to New England, had a great year here. In '96, working with defensively with Al and Romeo and Dante and Coach Parcells, entire offensive staff, obviously. But I certainly learned a lot that year, and then being around Bill for 3 years with, again, basically the same staff that had moved down to New York. All the things that you do as a head coach. When you become assistant coach again, I'd say this: you understand more what the head coach is going through when you've been a head coach than you do when you're an assistant coach and you haven't had that responsibility. So that was, it was a great learning experience for me. And Bill was very generous in some of the information and experiences that he shared with me during those 4 years from '96 to '99 of situations that he was dealing with or things that would come up on the team. How would you handle this? How would you handle that? And our relationship was a little bit different because I had been a head coach, and he would say, well, look, you've been a head coach. Here's the situation. How would you handle this, or how would you handle that? And then I'd watch him handle it. I have a little different perspective on it than I had, for those years at the Giants when I wasn't a head coach, and I probably didn't fully understand some of the dynamics of various decisions, whether it be personnel decisions or as it was in the '90s, salary cap decisions and strategical decisions and logistical and planning, those kind of things. So it was certainly a great learning experience for me from a different point of view. I think I knew a lot more then than I knew, in the '80s when I was with the Giants. And some of the same things came up, but I just didn't have the same perspective. So I wouldn't say it's any one thing. I would say it's just a culmination of. Look, honestly, as a head coach of a professional football team, you make hundreds of decisions every day. You really do. I can't talk to everybody on the team, and sit down and have a long conversation with them. Some guys you talk to, some guys you don't. Some guys you can say things one way, you can say them a different way. You make decisions on strategy. You make decisions on personnel. You make decisions on motivation and practice reps, and all those kind of things. So there's really a lot of things on a daily basis that, as the head coach you're involved in, or people come to you and say, how do you want to do it? How do you want to do this? This way or that way? This way or that way? Do you have a feeling on this? And, you can make the decision to turn it over to them. Hey, whatever you think's best, that's what you do. Or you can say, well, I prefer A over B or C over D. And so it's just not one thing. I think it's, there are a lot of different elements to it.
Hi, Bill. Howard Ullman from the Associated Press. It seems that Dion Branch has had a good season. Can you talk about what he's meant to the team, and also with all the publicity that your other three top receivers are getting, has he been overlooked or overshadowed a little bit this year, not recognized for what he's done?
I can't speak for anybody else's recognition, but from my standpoint, from our team's standpoint, I think that everybody knows how important Dion is to our football team, to our offense, to our passing game. He does a lot of things. He handles a lot of different responsibilities as far as where he lines up, his position, and his assignments. He has a great route tree in terms of the number and variety of routes that he runs. Of course, he has great confidence and relationship with Tom because of their experience together and so forth. I don't think in any way that I couldn't imagine anybody on the team not thinking that Dion Branch has a tremendous importance to our football team. I don't care if they play offense, defense, or wash the towels. I mean, I just can't imagine that anybody would think that. I mean, maybe a lot of people out there do, but I just can't imagine anybody on a football team would feel that way. I mean, he does a great job for us. And plays like, in the Denver game, in a long touchdown play, I mean, I don't know how many guys make that play for us, I mean, it was a clear-out route, but it wasn't a clear-out route. And Tom saw it, Dion saw it, turned it into a long touchdown. So that's, Dion does a lot of things that blocking. I mean, people don't give him credit for that, but Dion's done a good job blocking for us this year. I mean, you don't look at him and say, okay, well, this guy's, looks like a great blocker, but he's an effective blocker, and he's done a great job. I'm sure the run backs appreciate him.
Bill down here, 5-yard line.
Hey, Mike.
How you doing? Two-part question. Rob Gronkowski practiced today. How much, if anything,
He didn't practice.
Didn't practice today.
No.
And then just a different topic. Just 108 practices now. I think you referenced the number a couple practices ago. What have you come to appreciate about this team that gives you confidence leading into Super Bowl 46?
I'd say one of the good things about this team is its consistency. They come to work every day. They're ready to work. Not all the time, every day, does everybody have they're there, but sometimes there's more of an urgency or more attention, more attentiveness than other times. But I'd say this team overall, as a team, they come to work, they're ready to work, they go to work. So it's not a lot of, we got to get things started, we got to get things going, we're not, we're just kind of going through the motions. There hasn't been a lot of that. So I respect their consistency, I respect their mental toughness, their physical toughness, and their ability really to put things behind them and move ahead to the next challenge. Whether that's daily or weekly or after a bad play, moving on to the next play, whether that's in practice or games. I mean, we've been behind, we've had some bad plays in practice, but, they get over it, they move on to the next thing, try to make the next thing better, and don't get bogged down by something that didn't go well.
Bill, over to your left. Can you shed some light on the time you were with the Giants staff with Coughlin and the connection that the two of you had as coaches in terms of working your respective units against each other and things of that nature?
Yeah, sure. Tom, I was the defensive coordinator, but I coached the defensive backs when Al Groh came in, and Al took my position as a linebackers. I went to the secondary. So as a secondary coach and Tom as a receiver coach, we worked together every day in one-on-ones and 7-on-7s. So in 7-on-7, I would run the coverages the way that he wanted them run on whoever team we were playing, Philadelphia or Dallas or whoever it was. And he would run the patterns the way that I asked him to run them based on the team that we were playing. But in addition to that, we had again, as an assistant coach, I would say it was the best relationship that I've ever had with another counterpart in that way, in terms of, Tom saying, hey, this coverage against this pattern is really hard. It's hard for the quarterback, or it's hard for the receiver to see that, these two kind of things look the same. And he would ask me this, if we run the route this way, if we stem it versus if we run it straight, what gives you a bigger problem on that coverage? And we had a very good give and take on that on a daily basis, whether it was in training camp or whether it was on a weekly, or daily game preparation situation where we were doing, one-on-one routes and 7-on-7 patterns and things like that, that we, really were able to help each other out and help each other coach their position better. And, there were times even when I would ask him to say, look, tell Mark Collins what you're telling the receiver, or tell, Everson Walls what you're telling the receiver. Let them hear it from you. I'm telling them, look, this is what they're going to be doing. But, when the receiver coach says, look, this is the way this guy's going to run the route, this is how he's being coached to do it, that's helpful for a defensive back. And so I think it not only was good between us, but I think it transcended the units that we were coaching and the players that we had. It was a great working relationship with Tom. It was outstanding. It really was. I mean, I wish that every coach, every position coach, could have that with their counterpart on a staff. And, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But that was that was really exceptional. It was very, you know, I mean, I learned a lot from Tom relative to the offensive point of view of the passing game.
Bill Manish at the New York Daily News. You've touched on this for the past week, your fond memories of playing or coaching with the Giants, the people on the staff and the community. But just from a coaching perspective, what are some of the coaching lessons that you learned while you were on that staff that you've carried, you know, through the years and that you still employ today?
Oh, well, I mean, there were so many of them. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, really, it was awesome. We had a great staff. We had great players. We had great support from the organization. I'd say probably one of the biggest things I learned that I can't do today, but I know, is, you know, how tough those players were, how tough we were. We practiced every day in pads, every single day in pads. There were years when we practiced every single day on the turf before we had the grass practice field up there on the hill, or it was being rebuilt, or I don't know, something happened. Anyway, how we did 9-on-7, you know, which is a good tempo running drill. How we did that on a regular basis. In training camp, we went out in pads every day. We hit every day. We did 9-on-7 there's no way Bill would go out on the field without doing 9-on-7. I mean, we'd skip stretching before we'd skip 9-on-7. So, you know, now we go out there and, you know, sometimes you get that look like, well, we can only go out in pads once a week now, but, you know, going back to last year, even this year, you know, going out in pads, working on 9-on-7, having more contact work in practice, you know, get that look a little bit like, well, you know, I don't know if the players can do it. And I'm thinking to myself, can't do it. We were in pads on Friday with the Giants. And nobody said anything. That's the way it was. Just went out there and practiced. I mean, so I know what players are capable of doing because of how demanding we were with them from a physical standpoint. And that certainly didn't lessen their aggressiveness or their toughness in games, because that was a physical defense. That was a physical offensive line. You know, even getting ready for the Super Bowl against Buffalo, the way we ran the ball in that game, you know, that started on the practice field with the tempo in practice. And so when you get those guys crashing into each other, you know, Jumbo and Mark Bavaro and those guys blocking Taylor and Banks and Burt and all them, I mean, they just lined up and played football. So I know it was a different era, and, you know, it'll never be like that again, but I learned that players can be tough, they can be physical, that they can do more than what they think they can do from that standpoint. And so those were valuable lessons, because I can say before I got to New York, and Coach Perkins is like that too now. Ray Perkins, we had tough physical practice too. He definitely set the tone. When I got there in '79, relative to what the Giants had done previous to that, where it was, you know, it's kind of a country club atmosphere from what I understood. I wasn't there. But it was a little bit different than what I had been used to, and I learned a lot from the mental and physical toughness standpoint that Ray and then Bill built their teams with. That, I don't know, maybe I took it a little too far in Cleveland, I don't know, but it was, you know, it was kind of the same thing when I got there. You know, people said, well, you know, we're too demanding, we're doing too much. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I was in the Giants for 12 years. I saw this every day for 12 years. I mean, don't tell me we can't go out there and have 9-on-7 2 days in a row. I mean, that's just, I know we can. So, does that answer it? Thanks.